So we are moving into the final battle of my Cadian Crusade narrative. I've done a few of these before, but this is the first time I've actually ever filmed anything, so it's been a very, very cool experience. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I'm just going to go over again the Crusade card. As I said, I would do that at the end of our previous battle against Chaos Undivided. So the Cadian did lose that one. This next one is going to be against the Thousand Suns and some Tzeentchian Demons. And the victory indicator for this one is whichever side kills the other one wins the battle. So the Thousand Suns force is probably around 2,400. My 555th Cadian Charlie Company, which is now almost like a battalion size, I would say, is at 2,060. There's also been a couple of subs ins and outs, so you guys will see that on the card right now. So we have the battle tally at 6 battles, and there has been 5 victories, 0 requisition points. As you will see down the list, I spent that to remove my Ogren squad and put Ursula Creed in. So we still have our original lineup there, as you can see. So Castle and Commissar, the command squad, the Khazarkin, sections 1 to 4, heavy weapon squad that used to be my Sentinel Alpha that had the plasma cannon. It was removed earlier as well with requisition points. The Hellhounds, Preacher, then we have Ursula Creed, who has been put in there for the Ogren squad. So I'm hoping that she's going to be able to dish out some pretty good orders there and just buff up some of the squads, because I really liked how the Castellan last battle was able to help out the field ordnance battery. So I'm going to use him probably again for that, as he can give 1 order. Ursula can give 2, so if she can be in the center of a couple of sections or maybe a couple of Khazarkin squads, it's going to help out. We have the Rogaldorn battle tanks. We have the Primaris Psyker, the Chimera, Lord Solar Leontis, who is still the warlord of this force, the Khazarkin Gargoyles, and then my field ordnance battery to round it out. So now moving on to the cards. First up is Castellan Cage. Not much of a change here. He moved up to 9 experience. The next rank after Blooded comes in at 16 experience. The only one that's close to that is the Rogaldorn. So a lot of them won't level up again during this crusade, but who knows what the future holds and how many battles I might play in a second one, as I'm thinking of creating a more sort of diverse Imperial Guard force. It's going to, have a lot more different units in it, not just Cadian specific. So we'll see how that goes. The Commissar, 6 experience, so he did move to the Blooded rank, and he was given Grizzled, so that's going to be a Feel No Pain of 6+. He did get a Battle Scar as well, however, and he is now fatigued, as well as has the crippling damage. I'm hoping that the movement and the objective control points aren't going to be too crazy in this one, but we'll see. Movement may still be an issue, but this is going to be more of a defensive position again for the Cadian to finish off, so we'll see how that goes. On to the next card, we have the Cadian Command Squad. So they moved up to Blooded with 7 experience. They got a kill during that last battle, so they have a total of 3. And I have given them Old Grudges, which is you can select 1 enemy unit and reroll the hit rolls against it. So that's going to help out a lot with the Cadian Command Squad. They don't have incredible weapons like a lot of las guns, bolt pistol, and las pistol, but it'll still help out a little bit in making sure that they get some shots off. The Regimental Preacher also moved up to Blooded, 6 experience. Given the Grizzled, which is the Feel No Pain 6+, perfect for a Regimental Preacher. So that's going to give him a little bit more staying power, which is great. The Khazarkin Sharkar's own, not much of a change there either. They were Grizzled from the last battle and were Blooded last battle as well. So they have 7 experience. No kills during this past fight. The Khazarkin Tigers did get a kill, so they have 4 now. They were Blooded last battle as well. They have 7 experience. They were given the Sharpshooters, which gives them the heavy ability. And that was from last battle also. So we have 1 and 2 section here. They have both moved into the Blooded rank. Dakota was there last battle. He's up to 7 experience. Sergeant Saronk just got there with 6 experience. I've also given Sergeant Saronk the Grizzled Feel No Pain 6+, and I'm really hoping against more Chaos Space Marines that's going to give them a little bit of extra fight to be able to stay in the battle a bit longer. And we saw with Sergeant Dakota that even facing Abaddon and his Justarian Terminators, that Feel No Pain helped out in surviving a few different attacks. 3 section with Sergeant Apone has moved to Blooded, 6 experience, Grizzled, Feel No Pain. 4 section, Sergeant Voof, 6 experience as well, Blooded also, and then Grizzled, Feel No Pain, 6+. So I've given that to my main, platoon of infantry Cadian to make sure that they can stick in a little bit longer, hopefully. Heavy Weapon Squad, they took over the Sentinel Alpha that had the plasma cannon, and they were able to pull all of the experience that unit had, so they moved up to 6 during this fight. And they're in the Blooded rank as well now. I gave them the Grizzled, Feel No Pain. They were killed pretty quickly in that last battle, but they did do some damage before they were taken out. Didn't kill any units, but they were able to kind of soften up a few of the Chaos Undivided. They do, however, have a battle scar, so there's no real outline of how that works. So it just states that, you take over the experience of the previous unit, but since I spent 1 RP and it's not defined, it's kind of open to your interpretation. So I'm removing the battle scars that were from those units. However, with the Heavy Weapon Squad being killed in this previous fight, I did give them Fatigued, which is the -1 to objective control and no charge bonus. The Sentinel Bravo that has the rocket launcher, it's got 1 kill this entire campaign. You'd think it would be doing better with a heavy weapon platform on it, but not so much. It is up to 6 experience though, got Blooded, and I gave it the Big Game Hunters, which is for vehicle units. So attacks against vehicles or monsters, you're able to reroll reroll wound and hit rolls of 1. It also went down during this fight to Abaddon, so I've given it a 2nd battle scar, which is Fatigued as well. So it has crippling damage and Fatigued, -1 to OC, no charge bonus. Hellhound Cerberus, 7 experience, was already Blooded, 4 unit kills total, and won this past battle. Hellhound Imp it's been doing very well in the campaign. It's up to 12 experience. It was marked for greatness previously at the Blooded rank. Killed 1 unit last battle, so it's up to 5 kills total. Over to Ursula Creed. So this used to be my Ogren squad, so that experience transferred over to her. All the battle scars have been removed, and she has 5 experience, so will not make it to the Blooded rank during this campaign, but in future I'll see if I put her in earlier and maybe she can get up there sooner. The Primaris Psyker, who has not been killed at all throughout the campaign because she's been locked in with Sergeant Dakota. That's kind of a lucky section. I don't want to jinx anything, but 1 unit kill throughout the whole campaign, but she's been really buffing and helping out Sergeant Dakota. One of the reasons I think they're still alive is because of her, so that's been great. She has 5 experience, will not make it to the Blooded rank before the end of the campaign, but still one of the only units that has not received any battle scars throughout. Over to the Rogel Dorns now. So Rogel Dorn Tank Fury, which has the Oppressor Cannon on it. These 2 tanks have been fantastic since they joined the Crusade. They came in during the 2nd or 3rd fight, if I recall. I think the 2nd, because we got a ton of RP points there that I didn't use during the first one. So 10 experience, not going to get up to that next rank after Blooded during this campaign, but 11 unit kills the entire Crusade so far, and 3 alone in this past battle, so absolutely fantastic. My Rogel Dorn Tank Double Impact. This thing has been marked for greatness twice now. It's up to 15 experience, and by the end of this fight, it will move into that next level because you need 16 experience to move, but it won't be able to use that as the battle ends or the Crusade ends after the Thousand Suns this time. So it has had 12 unit kills total, and it finished off 2 enemy units last time. It was, however, destroyed by Abaddon, so I've given it the Battle Scar Fatigued, which is the -1 to OC and no charge bonus. Lord Solar Leontis, not much happened there with him. I was hoping he was being able to do more, but he was on the side that was trying to take out the Word Bearers. If he'd been over on the other side with Abaddon, might have been a different story, but he has 4 experience, 2 unit kills throughout. He's only very new to the campaign too, compared to some of the other models, so doing okay. Hoping for a big game out of him this time. My Chimera that has it's not really a weapon platform. It's an armored personnel carrier, but it was able to kill an enemy unit last game, which is great. The Chimera multi-laser is actually a pretty good little weapon on there. and it has 4 experience, so it won't be making it to blooded, but I should have maybe put this in earlier so I could have moved troops around faster throughout the beginning of the campaign. Torox as well in the future if I'm thinking about APCs, so we'll see how I want to create and formulate my next Imperial Guard force that's going to come in here. But yeah, so the Chimera, 1 unit destroyed and 4 experience. And last but not least is my Kazarkan Gargoyles and the Ordnance Field Battery, Bombast Field Gun. So the Gargoyles got a unit kill in this battle. They have 3 unit kills total. Very happy that they survived this battle. They were very slow though, so they didn't really get into the fight until later on. 3 experience total. The Bombast Field Gun, it sucks that I've figured out the formula to that this close to the end of my crusade, but I linked the Castellan up with it, and it was really able to get some great rolls. With its heavy ability, makes its ballistic skill of 5+ turn into 4+, and then with the Castellan giving it orders, it went up to a 3+. So very, very good. I'm going to be doing that again for this next fight. It has 1 unit destroyed, and that was from this previous battle, and then it has 3 experience, so it won't be making it to blooded, but I'm very excited to use those in future crusade campaigns to see what I can do right off the bat with the proper orders. So that's it. We're going to get into the final battle here. It is the Cadian Shock Troops, 555th Cadian Charlie Company, and some allies versus the Thousand Sons, led by Magnus the Red, a Ryman. We have a Greater Demon of Tzeentch. It's going to be absolutely insane. So good luck, Cadian. This is it. We took a loss last time. I'm hoping we can finish the crusade with a win, but let's see how it goes. We're ready to get this one started. You guys just saw the roster for this final 7th battle of my Cadian 555th Regiment. Company, battalion, whatever they are now, they're a lot bigger than what they started as. So the new codex did drop, and I just updated the app. So this force is now 2,080 points. So it's changed 3 times since I started this crusade campaign back in, I think it was October. So within a few months, Games Workshop has changed out the points that many times. I have made the force that they're fighting, which is the Tzeentchian Thousand Sun Trader Marines, as well as Tzeentchian Demons, 2,525, I believe. So there are going to be some allies coming into this game later on. I'm going to save that for later, probably in around the 3rd turn. And the victory indicator for the Cadian in this one to be able to win is they have to kill every single enemy unit and individual model, and vice versa. The Tzeentchian Thousand Sun Trader Marines and Demons are going to have to kill every single Cadian if they wish to win. So the backstory for this one, there are some supporting characters here right away. Within this bunker here, I'm actually still painting it up, but is a Tome of Tzeentch. So this is like a library complex on a distant planet somewhere far, far away. It was being protected by Battle Sisters, so you can see there's a Novitiate there and a Novitiate Superior. They're the last remaining Battle Sisters that were on this planet guarding this, because Tzeentch has been after this tome for a very long time. In behind them, I've used the good old Fraterus Militia models again that you guys have seen a lot through the campaign. They're kind of like librarian keepers, and then I've put in a Rejuvenate Adjutant or something they're called. They're from the Rogue Trader sets, and that's kind of like the lead librarian at this facility. So now I'm going to show you guys the Thousand Sun Army and the Tzeentchian Demons. It is absolutely crazy. So I haven't used Thousand Suns actually ever. I love them. I painted them in the old school scheme of like the navy blue and gold. I also have Magnus the Red, who is our very first Demon Primarch in the campaign. If I do another crusade in the future, maybe we'll be seeing Mortarion, and maybe some others. We'll have to wait and see what comes out in the future, but I have Angron as well. So I know Fulgrim's on the way too, so we're gonna have to see what happens there. But this army, as I stated, is about just over 2,500 points. And they are probably still one of the most resilient forces in Warhammer 40K. So they've changed quite a bit from the beginning. I collected the old pewter models of the Thousand Suns. Beautiful, beautiful models to paint. You guys can see here too that there's a Greater Demon of Tzeentch. So a Keeper of Secrets. Gorgeous model with, well,
it's my paint job. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think it's beautiful. And just the colors, like the Tsangors here, really, really nice, like that aquamarine, Miami Dolphins kind of look. We've got some pink horrors. And if you guys don't know from playing Bolt Gun or any other games, the pink horrors, when killed, turn into 2 blue horrors. And then when a blue horror is killed, it turns into 2 yellow horrors or brimstone horrors. So these things have a lot of fight to them. So all of these guys here, the 10 pink horrors can turn into 20 blue, and then the 20 blue can turn into 40 brimstone. So very, very tough models to kill. And they're also getting buffed out as well by the Keeper of Secrets there. I also have some Flamers of Tzeentch, which are very, very good models, and a lot of the Thousand Suns. We've seen torrent weapons in my last Crusade battles, as well as what the Cadians can do with their Flamers. They're a very Flamer heavy army as well, so this is going to be an amazing fight. No vehicles, but with 2 massive models on the board. That's kind of like their tanks. You know, these things are like 16, 18 wounds. Magnus the Red can cut a tank in half with that sword he's got there. So gonna be crazy. I've got a Demon Prince here as well as Tzeentch right up on the front line. I have a Ryman himself as well. The he was the first captain of the Thousand Suns during, you know, back in unification and stuff like that, and he's actually the one that kind of doomed them as well. So as I've stated before too, I think I mentioned with Typhus, it's always the first captains that are messing up their legions, and he was the one that did a spell that turned them into dust. So the story is these are kind of just automated armor suits, and back in the day they actually had a crazy rule. This is like, I don't know, 3rd or 4th edition maybe, way back. You had to actually have certain strength weapons to even damage them, or you could kill them in hand-to-hand combat. So they have kind of remained as a very stalwart force, very, very hard to kill. The Cadians probably have the toughest battle on their hands right now, and the Primarch, Magnus the Red, Demon Primarch, as well as the Greater Demon of Tzeentch can fly, so they can cover ground incredibly fast, and I wouldn't be surprised if Magnus is in cutting a Rogel Dorn in half within his first turn, so it's going to be really, really tough. The Cadians did lose their last one. I'm hoping they can pull off a win here. We will see. But I just wanted to show you guys that, get a little bit of lore in before the fight. Apologies if there are any Thousand Sun players watching. I'm not 100% knowledgeable of the army. I know they have a ton of abilities. There's like the Cabal, which is certain points that you can use. I'm going to try to stick to their lore and rules as closely as I can, but I don't ever play as them. I just love to collect them. So this is the first time I've actually kind of got them out and on the board, and I'm excited to see how my Cadian can do. So it is going to be Cadian first since they're defending, and it's going to go Cadian, Tzeentch, Cadian, Tzeentch, Cadian, Tzeentch until one of these forces is dead, and you guys will see in around the 3rd turn there's going to be some allies coming onto the board. I don't want to give anything away just yet, but if you have played Space Marine 2, you know in that campaign that there's a couple of Ultramarine heroes that fought against the Thousand Suns after they found out that the planet wasn't just inhabited by Tyrannid. So we're going to get into this one right now. I'm moving over to the Cadian move. I'm going to do that, show you guys what they come up with. Probably going to keep a lot of range in this battle if I can to kill a lot of units with that. I don't really need to update my Crusade cards because this is the end of the fight, so all of the buffs that they have right now are what they're going to remain with until the end. And with the new codex for Astra Militarum, I'm looking at putting together a more diverse force. I know I mentioned that briefly during the last battle, maybe putting in some Death Corps of Krieg, Catachan, Cadian, really mix it up and see. But I've got to do a little bit more research on that, and I don't know when I'm going to do my next Crusade. So after this whole Crusade is done, I'm going to move back probably to my Last Stand series, which I was doing for a while, just pitting a certain amount of forces against a Tyrannid main force. You guys can check that out on my other playlist, which is called Last Stand series. The Khazarkin were in there too, so you can see how they held up. Thousand Suns haven't been in there yet, but I might put them in after this fight. And after the Last Stand series, I have a really cool idea that I'm going to do. I'm going to see if it works out, and I'm not going to tell you guys anything about that yet, so just stay tuned. You'll figure that out. But back to this one. 7th battle, lucky 7 for the Cadian. Hopefully they can take it. they have to kill every single Thousand Sun and Tzeentchian demon model on the board to win. So here we go. Apologies, all you Thousand Sun and Tzeentch Demon collectors. This is the Lord of Change, not the Keeper Secrets. Keeper Secrets is Slaanesh. That was in the last battle, so I was getting them mixed up a bit. But yes, this is, and I apologize if I called the Keeper Secrets Lord of Change. This is the Greater Demon of Tzeentch Lord of Change. For the rest of the battle, I think I will refer to it as the Greater Demon of Tzeentch, because I might keep calling it the Keeper Secrets by accident. So that is the see, I'm already messing it up. The Lord of Change, and it is a Greater Demon of Tzeentch. So just wanted to say that. Lord of Change, not Keeper Secrets. All right, let's get to the battle. Cadian turn phase 1 for move is done. The Cadian have moved up to the front line, and this is about as far as it's going to go for these sections. So we have Sergeant Saronk with the Primaris Psyker, who's going to be super important because she does have some psychic nullifying abilities as well as being a Psyker herself, but she's up against a massive Thousand Suns army, which are all Psykers. So the Chimera drove up its full 12 inches, or 10 inches, let out the section of Cadian here with the Primaris, and they're going to hold that line for as long as they can. I chose Sergeant Saronk because he is the most beat up. Deep scars, he's got crippling damage and fatigued. So the Primaris Psyker, she's survived this whole campaign, and I'm hoping she's going to bring them some luck. But they are grizzled, so a lot of my units from the last bit of experience they gained from the previous battle have moved into that blooded rank, and a lot of them have the grizzled 6+, which I'm hoping is going to keep them in the fight a little bit longer. Over on this side, we have Leontis not holding back at all, leading his Khazarkin right in with all the orders that he can possibly give. You can see the gargoyles are a little bit further back because of that crippling damage that they have, but the tigers have sharpshooters, so their weapons are all heavy ability. They've moved, so they're not going to be able to take advantage of this here, but if they survive this fight, we'll see what happens, as well as move, and take aim. So they moved up their full 9 inches. The Khazarkin Sharkar's own take aim and move, and then they have the grizzled 6+. The gargoyles came in a little bit later, so don't have that experience from the other two Khazarkin sections, but they have take aim and move, and then they do have that crippling damage of -1 to their movement. But that is going to be the wall that the Tzeentch are going to smash up against, and I don't think I'll be moving too many other Cadian. It's going to get pretty crazy here. We're going to have the field ordnance batteries dropping artillery in around them, as well as all the tanks firing that are in range. Heavy weapons teams out into whatever they can do to soften this up. I didn't really cover where everybody is here, but you guys probably saw in that first video just as I was walking around what's going on. So I have my Rogel Dorn double impact here with the Sentinel to hold the line a little bit further back. My command squad is up on top of the bunker here with Sergeant Apon's section, and they're probably going to be staying there for the game, trying to get a little bit of extra save with the cover. My ordnance field batteries are back as far as they can be to just start lobbing shells down into the Tzeentchian lines over there. And then Castellan Cage, who is my commander from the very beginning of this crusade, used him very well last time against Black Legion and Chaos Undivided to help out with the artillery to give them the take aim command, and then with the heavy ability they're hitting on 3+, so very, very good. Over here I have the Wall of Martyrs with two section of Cadians. So I have Sergeant Dakota over here in 2 section. Still no battle scars yet. I'm hoping they can survive this one, but it's going to be a toughie. I have Ursula Creed in here buffing out the heavy weapons unit because they're going to come into play big time as these enemies continue to move up. And then we have Sergeant Voof here with his section. They no longer have the regimental preacher in the rules. So this used to be Uriah Jacobus with that crazy preacher shotgun. It is now a Ministorum priest. Actually, probably a better model just for the layout of weapons he has. He's got a servo skull and a couple of pretty good weapons. He is the same point value of 35, so I just literally swapped out the models, and I had him, so I was able to put him in right away. And then back here at the back as well, my Hellhound tanks that are going to be kind of that last line of defense at the Alamo here, which is protecting the librarian and her assistants, and then the 2 surviving battle sisters that was the security force that was protecting this bunker. So in this bunker too, like, we have the Tome of Tzeentchian there. I actually haven't painted it yet, so you guys might see it because this battle is going to take a couple days to get done. But there's like a massive underground, tunnel system down here, or some kind of big bunker system underneath that has a whole bunch of tomes and probably like sacred relics and stuff that the Battle Sisters were assigned to protect. And Tzeentch came down. They want their tome back, and they've killed a lot of Battle Sisters, as I stated at the start. So we are going to see how this goes. The shoot is going to happen now, and as per previous battles, I'm going to be rolling that off camera for the most part until there's some very dramatic high tension parts at the end of the game. Tzeentch are going to be super tough. These are, Space Marines, just Trader Marines. So they have that power armor on, and they also have their Cabal power to give them a whole bunch of craziness. Almost every single champion that's leading a section is an aspiring sorcerer, so they have 1 Cabal point, and then mattering on the character model, they also have sometimes 3 or 4 Cabal points. So there's going to be a massive Cabal pool here, and I'm going to be deciding that probably at the beginning of each phase for the Tzeentch. I'll let you guys know what that is. Some of the Cabal is able to do great damage against tanks. It can give people extra saves. If they've failed to save, they kind of turn back time and they're able to make saves. So it's a very, very tricky army. I will be calling this thing again the Greater Demon of Tzeentch. It is the Lord of Change. If I do call it again the Keeper of Secrets, I apologize. That is Slaanesh. But I don't know. Those names should maybe be reversed, because Lord of Change is kind of more Slaanesh, and then Keeper of Secrets. Anyways, I didn't write the lore, but that's the names of them. So over to the Cadian shoot, and we will see how they can do in this first round. Really hoping for some great rolls, and hoping that they got a little bit more stay in this fight because of those grizzled abilities that I've given them. So here we go. This is it. And then turn 3, you're going to see some allies coming in here for the Imperium side, probably when the guardsmen are going to need it most. So I'll be back in a sec to show you how the shoot went. That is the end of the shoot phase for the Cadian first turn, so that finishes up their turn. It's going back over to Tzeentch here. As you can see, I'm starting the camera on a whole bunch of blue and brimstone horrors, so that does mean that the pink horrors were eliminated, a lot of the blue horrors were eliminated, but these things just won't go away. So this is the perfect, if you guys are Tzeentchian players or thinking about collecting, they're a great kind of blanket to put in front of other forces that have to be killed first. So very, very difficult to finish off, because what went into them was the entire section here of Cadian, the Primaris Psyker, the Sentinel, my Chimera. They all got pretty good rolls too, because we're so deep into the campaign that they're doing well. And then also some of the weapon systems on my double impact Rogel Dorn. The Rogel Dorn also fired its double cannons there into the Lord of Change, and nothing happened. This thing has a toughness of 10, so the same strength or same toughness as a lot of tanks. Over on this side over here, pretty good. I don't think it's going to be enough here, because we're kind of going to have to face the onslaught of Tzeentch during this next turn. But Leontis and his Khazarkin fired in, killed the entire section of cultists. The gargoyles reduced this section from 10 down to 3. They also put all of their firepower with the addition of the Rogel Dorn battle tank and the bombast field cannons at the back into the Tzeentchian Thousand Sun Trader Marines here, and brought this section down from 10 to 4. And there's one that has 1 wound left. So that's pretty beat up. That's only one section of 5 though that we had to start off with. So there's 50,000 Sun Marines here, and it's going to be switching over here. I want to see what this Cabal magic can do, because there's going to be a big pool of points, and they can do some crazy stuff. Also, Magnus the Red and the Lord of Change can fly, and they move very far distances in leaps, and they can pretty much cut a tank in half. So we're going to see what happens here. Pretty good first round here for my Cadian. I did calculate the unit kills as well, so I will probably do a final tally. It's almost like, you know, a hockey game or a football game. You want to have your stats all racked up at the end to see who had the most kills, who had the most assists, stuff like that. And I'll probably still mark 1 unit for greatness here. I don't know how we're going to do in this fight. It's going to be really, really tough, but I'm hoping that the rolls start to land on our side. Again, very good for this first round, but there's a lot of enemies that still remain. So over to the Tzeentch. I'm going to do their Cabal, show you guys what's happened there, as well as their movement. I also have to add up the Cabal pool points just to see how much we can actually add up, and then what kind of magic we can do against the Cadian. So back over to them. Good luck, Cadian. And you'll be getting some help there in 2 turns, but you got to hold out until then. So Tzeentch has moved right up for their movement phase. Pretty much all weapons or psychic abilities are in range here, I think. So this is going to be pretty rough for my Cadian, I think. Magnus can leap 14 inches, and the Lord of Change can move 12. The one saving grace again here with the Thousand Suns, they're just like automated suits of power armor with dust in them, so they move slower. They're 5-inch movement, similar to Nurgle, and Nurgle's all rusted out and corroding, whereas these guys are just like automated robot suits. So they have moved up. The 2 Cabal spells I'm going to use here are Doombolt, which costs 7 points, and Twist of Fate, which costs 9 points, and I'll get to those when we move into the shooting phase and what happens there. This force here alone has 16 total Cabal points with the amount of models that are still alive. So there's various amounts for each unit. Each aspiring sorcerer gets 1 that's leading a Thousand Sun unit, and then you have your exultant like sorcerers. There's a Ryman there, Magnus, and the Demon Prince of Tzeentch as well gets multiple. So the Doombolt is going to be pretty devastating to tanks, and the Twist of Fate will actually be as well because it ups the armor penetration of any weapons. So I'm going to get over to their shoot phase. I'm going to roll that, let you guys know how all the Cabal stuff goes, and then also how their bolt rifles go, because they're all magic as well as their flamers. And flamers, as we have seen in the past, are very effective against lightly armored infantry, and this Thousand Suns army has a whole bunch of them, so that's going to be, as I said, pretty rough. So over to the shoot. I'm going to roll in the tray, and I'll let you guys see what happens when I come back in just a sec. Alright, so I thought I'd actually maybe roll this in the dice tray because it's you know, something I've never used before. So this is the Cabal of Sorcerers. It is the Doombolt Psychic Attack, which costs 7 Cabal points. It's coming from Magnus the Red, and it is aimed at the Khazarkan Gargoyles. He can kind of tell through the warp that they're weakened and maybe a little bit sort of shell-shocked. So he said, I'm going to point this at them. So with this one, it is an enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker that is visible. Roll 1d6. On a 1, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 2 to 5, that enemy unit suffers d3 plus 3 mortal wounds. And then on a 6, that enemy unit suffers d3 plus 6 mortal wounds. So we're hoping for a super low roll here. This isn't like the bomb squigs where a 1 does not have anything happen. Something's going to happen no matter what. So we're hoping for a 1. But if it's higher than that, it might be the end of the gargoyles during the first Tzeentchian turn. So here we go. It is a 4. That's not good. So it is 2 to 5. So that means it is a d3 plus 3. So we're going to be cutting this dice in half. It's a 1 plus 3. So that means that 4 models have been killed from the Khazarkan Gargoyles. Okay, this is very interesting. It's very, very different from what I'm used to with forces. So this is the other Cabal that's going to cost 9 Cabal points. It is called Twist of Fate, and it's coming from a Ryman, and he's giving it to the 4 remaining Thousand Suns in this unit because they're right up front with Khazarkan Sharkar's own. So this allows the Psyker to have a unit that is visible to them within 18 inches, so that's definitely the case here. And until the end of the phase, each time a Thousand Suns model from your army makes a ranged attack that targets that unit, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 2. So there's some weapons here that can deal a lot of wounds, and I'm going to be giving it to this unit, and that might also mean the end of Sharkgar's own. Just to show you guys what happened here, we just rolled that in the tray, so 4 of the gargoyles were killed by Magnus the Red's attack, his Doombolt, and this hasn't even started the rest of the shooting. So he's got other shooting attacks that he can do, as well as all of these Thousand Suns. So it might be very quick here for the Khazarkin, but I'm going to see how that goes. I'm going to roll off in the dice tray with that Twist of Fate ability that Orion has given to those 4 remaining Thousand Suns, and we will see how that goes. I'm going to come back, and I'm hoping my force is still here. We'll see what happens. That ends the Thousand Sun Tzeentch turn 1. The shoot phase is all done. We saw a little bit in the dice tray. Just want to recap here. So the Gaze of Magnus was used against Leontis. Possibility of killing him outright, and Leontis made every single one of his 4+ invulnerable saves, so he is still on the board. He's staring Magnus right down and says, "Bring it on." The Khazarkin around him did not fare as well. Orion, as well as the Thousand Sun Marines that were in range, opened up and killed a total of 4, 9, 11 Khazarkin. So they did survive. They're going to get another shoot round here. I'm going to change up the orders, probably fix bayonets. I might even go into hand-to-hand combat here, see what's going on, because they need to hold this line for turn 3 when they're going to get a little bit of help. This Tzeentchian army is about 500 points higher as well than the Cadian, plus their than the Cadian right now, and then when the allies come in, it's going to be about even. Down here, the Brimstone Horrors and Blue Horrors are actually quite good. So they don't have an amazing strength to their attacks, but if it makes it through, it's a -1 to AP, kind of similar to what the Termagants have there with their Flesh Boar, I found. And they were able to kill 2 of the Cadian shock troops here. And then also the Flamers of Tzeentch, unless it was possibly the Lord of Change, attacked the Chimera and brought it down from 11 to 9 wounds. This thing is going to be important because my Primaris Psyker has the ability to do invulnerable save once per game against psychic attacks. I don't think I'm going to use it here with the Cadian Shock Troop Squad. Sorry to Sergeant Sarank and his section, but they're just not kind of high enough VIPs for that. So she might be trying to get over to those Khazarkin, maybe during this turn, load into the Chimera and head down towards them to jump out and give them some invulnerable save, because there's going to be a lot of stuff going on, or maybe move into the back of the base here and buff out a squad. So we'll see what happens. But a very, very good turn by my Cadian. The Tzeentchian Thousand Suns actually didn't roll great for their attacks, and then my Cadian made a lot of their saves, so that was fantastic. We're going to move back over to the Cadian now, and I'm going to show you guys their move, and then we'll come back and recap what happened there, and then on to their shoot and any hand-to-hand combat that might come about. That is the end of the movement phase for turn 2 of the Cadian. Not much movement. We're trying to hold the line here, so I'm hoping that the Khazarkin can get some good shots off here. I was thinking of maybe bringing the Primaris Psyker over here to buff out one of the Khazarkin units, but they're currently being led by Leontis, so we're not going to do that. The Chimera has, however, pulled over to hopefully put some shots on the Demon Prince, and the Sentinel has taken its place. Having the Chimera there too can rally units and move them around. I should say relay, not rally. And then over here, the Cadian section, the Primaris Psyker stayed with them to give them the malign wardings, is what it's called. I'm just going to make sure that that is right. Yeah, so while this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have the Feel No Pain 4+ ability against psychic attacks, and with a lot of psychic units nearby, I'm hoping that that's going to be able to help them if some shots start to come down. I also have the Psychic Barrier. I might hold that off until later. That one is at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. You can reroll 1d6 on a 1. This Psyker's unit, so that's the Primaris Psyker's unit, suffers d3 mortal wounds, but on a 2+ until the end of the phase, models in this Psyker's unit have a 4+ invulnerable save. So I'm going to use Malign Wardings for now on the Cadian Shock Troops. Try to keep them in here with the Feel No Pain 4+. And I'm hoping to get some firepower down on the bigger models here too. We've got the Rogel Dorns both staring down the Lord of Change and Magnus the Red. The Chimera is going to be firing on the Demon Prince, and then I might rotate my Sentinel around as well. The Khazarkin there, I actually didn't change their orders out, but they're going to be take aim and fix bayonets from Leontis, so I'm going to do that in a sec. And we will get into the shooting phase here. No one in hand-to-hand combat currently, so this is going to end again with the Cadian turn shoot. So we'll get to that in just a sec. I will show you guys how all that shakes out, and hoping to get some more great rolls and finish off more of these Thousand Sun Marines, because if the Cadian can survive this second turn, at least the front line, they are going to get some allies dropped down to help them out big time. So that is the end of turn 2 for my Cadian. Absolutely incredible turn, the best rolls I've seen. I don't think I rolled anything lower than a 4 or 5 for probably about 70% of my rolls. Don't know where this has been all Crusade campaign, but it's definitely coming out today. And from that, the Cadian racked up a whole bunch of unit kills, just absolutely incredible. So I'm going to try to sum everything up here again. You can see that Orion on his disc has been destroyed. So the Rogel Dorn back here with its kind of anti-infantry weapons opened up on him and softened him up. And it was actually the Khazarkin Tigers that finished him off with that take aim and their special weapons. Sharkar's own fired into the occult or the Thousand Sun Marines here, and there's one left with 2 wounds. Over here, my gargoyles fired in and killed the remaining cultists that were there, so that's a unit kill for them, which is fantastic. The tigers actually have 2 so far, so they're on fire. And then the gargoyles also fired into the occult terminators here and actually reduced one at the back there down to 1 wound, so phenomenal. The Chimera wasn't able to wound the Demon Prince, and I also fired my bombast field cannons from my ordnance field battery into the Demon Prince, and nothing happened there to him either, so he is still going. On this side, however, my Rogel Dorn here fired its anti-infantry weapons into the Tsangors and finished 5 of them off. And you can see that actually the Lord of Change, the Greater Demon of Tzeentch, was killed. And that was actually mainly due to my Sentinel. So I've been bashing these things all Crusade. I fired a crack grenade launcher round into it, did multiple wounds, and then my Rogel Dorn with all of its firepower here that had any kind of strength fired in and actually finished it off. So it did do its deadly demise roll. Nothing happened to any of the models surrounding it, but with the loss of Orion here and the Sorcerer's still there, but with Orion being gone, that also reduces the Cabal pool for the Thousand Suns. So a huge round for the Cadian. They're really, really standing their ground here on this wall, and they're going to be getting those reinforcements coming in this third turn. So it does go back over to the Thousand Suns now. We're going to see what they do with their remaining Cabal points in the pool, and also see what kind of firepower they can put onto the Cadian. But the loss of that Lord of Change is like losing a queen on a chessboard. I would say that Magnus is their king, and then Orion, losing him is like a bishop or a rook. So very, very good couple of shoot phases there from my Cadian, and that's not even every single weapon being in range. So when they start to push back here, the Thousand Suns, they're going to be taking on even more weaponry and firepower, and there's also the 425 points of reinforcements coming in, as I said there, during the beginning of turn 3. There's still a lot of Thousand Sun models left, but I'm feeling really good. This has been an incredible couple of rounds. I was really thinking that it was going to be the same kind of old rolls. It's not, so they're doing fantastic. I'm going to flip it back over here to the Thousand Suns, do their move, and I will come back and show you guys what has happened there. So that concludes the Tzeentchian Thousand Suns phase move for turn 2. Magnus flew over the entire battle line here, both sides, and is in hand-to-hand combat with the Chimera. You can just see the size of this model. He's massive. You know, Primarch is big, but when they go to become a Demon Prince, it's something else. Down here, the Cadian section here has been surrounded by the Brimstone and Blue Horrors. The Sangors have moved in closer, probably going to try to put some firepower on that Rogel Dorn. Not going to do much, but we'll see. The Demon Prince here as well went into hand-to-hand combat with the Sentinel. The Flamers stayed in their location. We have the Thousand Sun Marines moving slow, so they're just kind of trudging up the battlefield here as their automated suits allow them that 5-inch movement. The remaining Sorcerer here from the Thousand Sun section went into hand-to-hand combat with the Sharkar's own. The Terminators are right up in front of the Gargoyles, and it might get a little bit dicey here for this turn, but you know what? This front line was supposed to hold these guys off. They've held them off for 2 turns for sure, so that is fantastic. They're going to be reinforced. I also don't know if I mentioned this. A lot happened there during that last shoot, but my Rogel Dorn Fury that's back here fired its anti-infantry into a Ryman, which I think I said, and finished him off after the Tigers finished him, but the Rogel Dorn softened him up. The Oppressor Cannon as well as the auto cannon fired into Magnus and actually brought him down to 10 wounds. So he is hurt. He starts off with 14, so 4 wounds off of him is going to help a lot towards the end of this fight. And now he's also right in behind enemy lines here because there's a lot of firepower that can take him on if he does in fact destroy the Chimera this turn. So we will see what happens. I'm gonna do the shoot and then the hand-to-hand. So shoot first, roll him the tray. Unless something cool happens, I'll record that. If not, you guys will see the outcome, and then we'll get into hand-to-hand right after that. All right, so shoot phase is done for turn 2 of the Tzeentchian Thousand Suns here. Pretty good round for them, some very good rolls, and the Cabal was placed on this unit here that have a whole bunch of Warp Flamers, and they were able to kill the Khazarkan Tigers with pretty little ease. They got, I think, 21 or 22 hit rolls with those Flamers because they're D6 each, and then there's also the auto cannon there and a hand flamer from the Sorcerer, so it was lights out pretty quick. The Occult Terminators here fired into the Gargoyles and finished off pretty much the entire section except 2. And the Cabal was from the Exalted Sorcerer over to this unit here, so that's who buffed them out. I'm moving over to hand-to-hand combat here in just a sec, so we're going to see what Magnus does to this tank. My Chimera, I might actually roll that on camera just to see what happens. And then there's a few others to decide here as well. Oh, and over on this side, the Tsangors have little tiny auto pistols. I guess they were trying to maybe shoot into the eye holes of the tank here or something, but nothing happened, so just all bounced off the armor. They couldn't shoot at the Cadian because they're locked in hand-to-hand, and as per the Warhammer 40K rules, if there's a unit in hand-to-hand combat, you cannot shoot them because you might be hitting your ally. So that was the case for a lot of these units back here. A few units in range, but they were either going to be shooting through their buddies to get to them, or whatever else. Also, the missile rack here, on the back of the Occult Terminator fired into this Hellhound here, and nothing happened as well. So I forgot that they had that rack on their back there, so it definitely tried to do a couple of pot shots, and nothing happened. But over to hand-to-hand, so I'm probably going to roll again in the dice tray there for at least Magnus, and then I'll do the rest and come back and show you guys the outcome. Okay, so definitely want to get this on camera. This is Magnus fighting the Chimera. Just a little bit of backstory on Magnus. He is the Primarch of the Thousand Suns, who are a very psychically gifted legion, and he was the strongest psyker in the Imperium pretty much other than the Emperor. Did some bad stuff. I don't really think he was meaning to be malicious, but it happened. The Emperor didn't like that he was able to push through some of his barriers and turned Leman Russ against him, who was kind of the hitman for the Emperor. Magnus was also the second largest of the Primarchs, the largest being Vulcan. Magnus was a big dude, kind of based off of the Egyptian culture, as you can see from a lot of the Marines and kind of what they're wearing. They're big, scarab Occult Terminator helmets and stuff like that. So just a little backstory on Magnus. He's actually not the best Demon Primarch either. I would say Mortarion and Angron, I think, probably are better, but Magnus's model, I believe, is also a little bit older, so that might be why. And Thousand Suns don't have their new codex yet, so he might get some crazy new powers. But this is going to be the Blade of Magnus. It is going to be a strike, so 7 attacks at 16 strength, hitting on 2+. So only 1 fell off. And this is 16th strength against toughness 9, so it's going to be 3s to wound, almost 2s to wound, which is insane against a tank, but it is a demon Primarch. So here we go. Looking for 3s. So all of them are through except 1 again, so 2 have fallen off from the start. This is more than enough to finish off this Chimera, so we're going to see what happens. It is a -3 to AP, which brings the Chimera up to a 6+ save. It does not have an invulnerable. So here we go, looking for 6s. Hey, not bad. So again, this time the Cadian doing pretty well. So 2 6s. This is 3 damage per though, so that we have 3, 6, 9. And I'm just checking the wounds. That destroys my Chimera. It had been wounded earlier by an attack, so that is actually the end of it. And Magnus has destroyed it. I'm just going to see if it has a deadly demise. It does on a D3. So this is going to see if it actually wounds Magnus at all on the explosion. So he's cut through the hull of the tank and it's exploded. You know, there's gas tanks and stuff like that in there, as well as probably some ammunition. So on a 6... So it was a 4. So nothing happened. Magnus is good to go. He cut a... It's still a medium tank, light armor tank. He cut it in half. So that's the end of the Chimera. Just shows you the strength of good old Magnus the Red. And I am going to flip back over here to the dice tray, roll off camera for the rest of the hand-to-hand combats, and show you guys what happens with that. This is the last battle, so I thought I'd roll this one too. This is the Demon Prince versus the Armored Sentinel. So not as strong as Magnus, but still a very good model. This used to be a Thousand Sun Marine that has gone through certain trials on the side of the Warp and Chaos and with the Tzeentchian gods, and has been gifted a Demon Princehood. So he, you know, was a champion, aspiring champion, moved up, sorcerer, whatever else. And now he's a Demon Prince, so he's very, very strong. He has the Hellforged weapon strike, so this is a strike attack with 6 rolls, so 6 hits, and it's hitting on a 2+. Very good roll. So he got every single one through. It's coming in at strength 8 versus toughness 8, so this is 4s to wound. Another pretty good roll. So yeah, this has been a good turn for the Thousand Suns so far. I was really hoping the Cadian were taking it. I'll show you guys the Sorcerer actually tried to take the Khazarkin on, and the Khazarkin aren't taking shit today, so that was a pretty good fight, but I'll get back to that in a sec. So it is a -2 to AP, which brings our Sentinel up to a 4+. Wow. So things might be changing here. So that was my save roll. I needed 4s to save, and it has failed every single one. That attack is 3 damage per, so we have 3, 6, 9, 12, and that destroys our Sentinel outright. So the Sentinel has been destroyed by the Demon Prince of Tzeentch. That is the end of the Tzeentchian Thousand Sun turn 2 hand-to-hand. So just as I was staying there, the Khazarkin didn't take any shit here from Tzeentch. Tzeentch and Sorcerer thought he could just come in and mess them all up, and they fought back, so it was a stalemate there, which was fantastic. As we saw on the dice tray, the Demon Prince was able to destroy the Armored Sentinel, and Magnus the Red cut an Imperial Guard tank in half. Neither of them did their deadly demise, so nothing happened to the models that were within the 6 inches or 8 inches of whatever it was. Down here, the Cadian shock troops did not fare as well against the Brimstone and Blue Horrors, and they lost a lot of their sections. So there is the Melta-Gunner, the Sergeant, and the Plasma Gunner left, being supported by the Primaris Psyker. So my front wall here of defenders is starting to collapse. Magnus is in behind, But it is the beginning of turn 3 in just a sec. And dropping from space in this area right here is going to be our reinforcements. So can you guys guess who it is? We're going to see in just a sec. They've just made planetfall, and they are staring down Magnus the Red. Here they are. Oh yes. A little bit of reinforcements, 425 points of Ultramarines, led by Chapter Master Marneus Caligar, that you guys all saw from Space Marine 2, and none other than Lieutenant Titus, leading an Assault Marines section to go straight into combat with whoever the hell wants to take them on. So we have the Gauntlets of Ultramar here being wielded by Marneus Caligar. He's got his Victrix Honor Guard. There's an Assault Marine squad of 5, Intercessor squad of 5, and they are here to help the Cadian defeat these Thousand Suns and push them back into the warp. So that is the surprise for turn 3. All you Ultramarine fans out there, the Sons of Gilliman have arrived, and they are ready to put their lives on the line against their uncle, Magnus the Red. So this is going back over to the Allies now. We're going to move Cadian, we're going to move Ultramarine, we're going to shoot Cadian, shoot Ultramarine, and then we're going to do any hand-to-hand combat that comes about. Back over to the Thousand Suns, and this battle is just going to keep going on and on and on until one force is no longer, hoping that that is going to be the Thousand Suns being pushed back into the warp, and that the Imperium can take this one and have my Cadian finish off their campaign. Crusade with a win. So here we go, back over to the Imperium. I think Big E's with them. The Emperor's here. So let's see how it goes. So just made a massive rookie mistake. The file number 222 on my camera, I was trying to delete a specific video, and I deleted an entire file. So you guys have missed a lot of turns, or a lot of phases, I should say. One and a half turns maybe. So I'm going to try to sum everything up here, keep the video going. So we saw just there that the Ultramarines had landed. They've actually already taken on the Demon Prince once, so we're back over to the Thousand Suns and Tzeentch right now. So they did lose one of their Assault Intercessors to the Demon Prince. Marneus Caligar here, as well as the Intercessors, had fired into the Blue and Brimstone Horrors, which now are here and remain, that are fighting this Cadian section with the Primaris Psyker. Just trying to sum up here, you guys can see the casualties that have happened. So this is kind of what's gone on during that massive video delete. I've tried to recover it too. It's the last battle. Something crazy is going to happen, and it's Tzeentch, so they've been pulling their trickery. I'm going to try to move over here too. So Magnus the Red has gone in against the Rogel Dorn Fury for hand-to-hand combat. This previous turn, Magnus was actually reduced to 3 wounds. He does have something called Impossible Form, which reduces damage by 1. So what had happened previous, he was standing right about here in the battlefield. The entire Cadian trench line opened up on him, as well as the Hellhound tanks and any of the support models that were in range. And that's what did bring him down to the 3. So being pissed off, he's now gone right into hand-to-hand combat with the Rogel Dorn. We saw earlier that he cut the Chimera in half, or at least I hope it's in my videos. I think it should be. It was far enough back that it should still be there. Up here, the Occult Terminators went in against the 2 remaining Khazarkan Gargoyles. In the previous phase, they had tried to fire into them with no effect. Down here, Leontis, as well as the Khazarkan Sharkar's own, were able to kill that lone sorcerer that had been standing here from the previous Thousand Suns unit that was killed. So they're killed outright, and they got a unit kill for that. Also, last turn, my Rogel Dorn, with all of its anti-infantry weapons, fired into this Scarab Rubric Marine section and did kill 2 of them and brought another down to 1 wound. So there's still 30 full rubric marines that are moving very slow. They're moving 5 inches, so that has kind of been the saving grace for this battle against the Cadian. The Cadian are at least able to fire, and it's taking the Thousand Suns a lot of time to close up that space. If I've missed anything, I really apologize, guys. I know for sure now that I won't be deleting anything on my camera. I'm going to wait till it's on the computer and delete it from the SD card. So we have done the Thousand Suns movement for their turn 3. So yeah, I think we've just maybe missed the Cadian turn 3, and I've summed up most of it there. It's probably going to be a shorter video because of that too. But now we're going to get to the shooting phase for the Thousand Suns in their turn 3. And I pity and feel bad because I think it may be the end of Leontis and the Khazarkin here. They have 30 Rubric Marines that are going to be firing on them. It's possible they could survive. Like, Leontis does have his invulnerable save, but we'll see what happens. And wishing them luck. They've held the line there as long as they possibly could. They're kind of all that remains from that first defense line, as well as these 2 gargoyles, Khazarkin gargoyles. So we're going to move to the shoot phase now. I'm not sure how much else I have missed. If by chance I get this editing and I check it out on the computer, I might fill you guys in there with some audio or something in between at the end, because I kind of want to recap anyways all the unit kills for the Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, Cadian for the end of this, and I'm going to probably do some slides on that. It's not going to be the battle cards, the Crusade cards, but at least have totals of kills throughout the entire Crusade, so you guys can kind of see. It's like, NHL stats or NFL stats. You want to see how many points each one got, how many unit kills they had in total, who was number 1, who was number 2, number 3, so on and so forth. So we're going to move to the shoot here. I'm going to go over to the dice tray. It sucks because we really missed some cool rolls there too. I'm pretty sure we had Lieutenant Titus as well as his assault intercessors going in against the Demon Prince. The Demon Prince was super strong and actually did not take any wounds from them. And then it was able to counterattack, and that's what killed one of the assault intercessors and brought another down to 1 wound. And now it does have the initiative, so it has gone straight into hand-to-hand combat. That will come after this, but onto the shoot, and I'll be right back to show you guys what happened there. And again, huge apologies for deleting an entire Cadian turn, and hopefully not more than that. So since I deleted a few of the rolls here, I just want to get this one on camera. So this is the Rubric Marines with their Warp Flamers. I just rolled their D6s and they have 20 attacks. These are going to be hitting automatically, and it is a 4 strength versus toughness 3. So this is 3s to wound. And ooh, a lot fell off actually, so that's pretty good for my Cadian. Not so good for 1,000 Suns. That's still a lot through though, and there is only 5 Khazarkin left. So I'm going to pick all these guys up. I think I'm going to be switching back to my dice camera there too, because it's tough to hold the camera and also roll dice when I go back to my Last Crusade or Last Stand series. So this is going to be, it is a -1, so it's going to be 5 plus save for my Khazarkin. So they need to make a lot of saves here. Looking for 5s. So not good. Only 1 save there out of all of them. So we have 3, 6, 9. That is 12 attacks that have wounded, and that means that the Khazarkin Sharkgar's own have made their final stand here in the battle. They are going to be removed, and the rest of those attacks are all going to be going on Leontis. Leontis has his invulnerable save, but that's a lot of saves to make, so let's see how he does. Okay, so Leontis has taken an onslaught from all 30 Marines almost. He is down to 2 wounds, so I wanted to roll these last 2. This is the Warlord, the Lord Solar for the Astra Militarum, so definitely have to roll for him. This is going to be the 2 last Soul Reaper cannons, so I fired every single bolt gun, flamer for them, flame pistol, bolt pistol, and now it's down to the 2 last Soul Reaper cannons. So it is 6 attacks from the first one, hitting on 3+. Very good roll for the Rubric Marine. It is strength 6 versus toughness 4, so wounding on 3s. Woof, also another really good one. Nice thing is, nope, it has a -1 to AP as well. So this is bringing Leontis up to his 4+ invulnerable. And he has died. So he was able to make 1 save, but there was 3 damage done. So that is the end of Lord Solar Leontis. He did not survive the final battle. and it's going to be switching over to the rest of the Rubric Marines that are in range here to see what kind of damage they're going to be doing to the rest of the Cadian and to the Ultramarines. Fuck, super pissed off that I deleted that footage because you guys missed some awesome rolls. I'm hoping some more come about, but I will remove Leontis. That's the end of him. Had a hell of a campaign. If I do another crusade after this, I think I almost have to. Probably not right away, but shortly after, just to make up for this lost chunk of footage, because this has been an absolutely incredible battle. Also from that past turn too, over on this side the Cadian rolled really well, and then for some reason when I went over here they didn't roll as well, because you could see that a lot of units are still surviving on that side. Back to the shoot here though, there's still a few more Thousand Sun units that can shoot, and then it's going to be over to hand, and I'll definitely be rolling that in the tray for Magnus versus the Rogel Dorn, and for the Demon Prince versus the Ultramarines and Lieutenant Titus. So we'll get to that in just a sec. All right, so shoot phase done there. I'm just going to take the positive of this. It's very possible that this battle could go on for like 8, 10, 11 turns. So maybe by deleting those videos, it's going to save a huge chunk of time. And hopefully my roundup covered everything and not more was deleted than I think. Anyways, the Rubric Marines fired with everything that was in range here. So they have their bolt guns at the back there, fired into the intercessors and killed one, and then the flamers here fired in as well and were able to wound one. So there's still 4 left. One is down to 1 wound, the remainder all have 2. That pretty much sums it up. The Sangors also tried to fire into the Rogel Dorn. Thought, what the hell, they have auto pistols, very weak weapons, but you never know when you could get a lucky roll, so they fired into that. That was everything else that was in range. So Leontis went down during that turn, and we had a Space Marine killed and then another wounded. So now it is moving over to hand. I'm definitely going to be shooting this in the dice tray. So I'm going to start first with the Tzeentchian Demon Prince versus the Assault Intercessors and Titus. He has the initiative, so he will be rolling first. And then the Space Marines, if still alive, will be able to counterattack. And then I'm going to go over here to Magnus the Red. Again, I hope we still have that on video, but he cut a Chimera in half, which is like a medium tank. APC, so I'm hoping that the Rogel Dorn with its higher toughness might be able to withstand a blow from Magnus, but we're going to find that out in just a sec. So over to the tray, and we're going to roll for some hand-to-hand. Okay, so I'm glad I'm getting this back on camera because we did have it previously, but that has probably been deleted. So this is the Thousand Suns Demon Prince Hellforged Weapon Strike. So he has 2 attacks. There's Strike, which is 6 attacks, higher strength, higher damage, higher AP, and then there's Sweep, which is almost more than twice as many attacks, but it's got a lesser strength, no AP, and 1 damage. So he's attacking some pretty highly armored Marines here. I want to be able to cut them down because, as always, fighting hard for both sides. So this is the Hellforged Strike. It is 6 attacks hitting on a 2+. 1 fell off. And I was saying this too, I think that got cut out as well, but for, I don't know, for an enemy model or any model to have 2+ to be able to hit is absolutely phenomenal with these kind of damages. So like the Demon Prince, I don't know, I don't want to say he's stronger than Magnus, but so far he's done better in the fight. So let's see how this goes. It is strength 8 versus toughness 4, so this is also wounding on 2s, which is crazy. And another one fell off, so that's good for the Marines. There's still, I think, enough to kill them outright, but let's see how it goes. So that is a -2 to AP, which brings our Assault Intercessors from their 3+ save to a 5+. They do not have an invulnerable, so we need 5s here. None were saved, and it is 3 damage per attack. So that is 3, 6, 9, 12. I hope Titus is still alive. I'm just going to calculate that. I'll be right back and show you guys what happened. Holy crap, guys. So that is Lieutenant Titus, our hero from Space Marine 2. You've seen what a Demon Prince has done. It wasn't just him who was killed, but also 4 Assault Intercessor Marines. This model is wild. So there was just enough to kill them all outright. So each of the Assault Intercessor Marines had the 2 wounds, and then Titus has 5, so in total it was 12. It delivered 12 wounds from that 3 damage per attack that made it through, and that killed them outright. So now the Demon Prince is staring down Marneus Calgar and his Victrix Honor Guard, as well as the remaining 4 Intercessor Marines. So they have to deal with this thing quickly, and I'm hoping my Cadian will also be able to help out in this next turn. Maybe get some tanks over here, get my Rogel Dorn to fire into it, and really try to take this thing out, because it is a beast in hand-to-hand combat. I'm going to roll this one off the table, or off camera. I just remembered that there's also 2 poor Khazra-Kin Gargoyles surrounded by Occult Terminators that are just beasts as well, and very highly armored. So I'm going to roll that. I think I know the outcome of that one, but I'll show you guys in just a sec, and then we'll finish this hand-to-hand combat and the turn for the Thousand Suns with Magnus the Red against the Rogel Dorn Battle Tank Fury. So I'll be right back and show you guys how this one finishes up. The Khazra-Kin Gargoyles went down there very quickly. I didn't need the Khopesh blades from the rest of the Occult Terminators. They were killed by the Sorcerer's Force Weapon, so that is the end of my Khazra-Kin as well as Leontis, and pretty much that entire first line of defense. The last unit remaining are my Cadian over here that are in hand-to-hand combat with the Brimstones. I'm going to do that as well in just a sec, and then we're going to finish it up in the tray with Magnus versus the Rogel Dorn, and then I'll come back and sum all that up. I don't know. Deleting that video, it's never going to happen again now. I know that I'm not going to be deleting anything from the camera itself. It's just, fuck, you guys missed some good stuff. Anyways, hopefully there's going to be more here. I was feeling really good about the Cadian there after the last turn. They, looked like they were starting to turn things around there for a little bit, but it is now starting to go back to the Thousand Suns. There's still almost 40 Marines left here. We have our Terminators, there's the Demon Prince, we have some of the Demons of Tzeentch left, and then Magnus as well, even though with low wounds, still has a lot of fight in him. So we're going to see what happens here. So I'm going to roll for these Brimstones, and then I'll come back and we'll show you guys what happens with Magnus and the Rogel Dorn Battle Tank Fury. Alright, so that combat has concluded, and there was a Cadian Shock Trooper lost, but they dealt back a lot of damage to the Brimstones, and there's only 3 of them remaining. Now comes the big one. It is Magnus the Red versus a Rogel Dorn Battle Tank. We saw him cut a Chimera in half, or at least I hope I still have the footage of him cutting the Chimera in half. I think I do, but I'll figure out when I get to editing. So this is the Blade of Magnus strike. He also still has Impossible Form on, so if he doesn't kill the Rogel Dorn and it attacks back, it's going to reduce the damage by 1 that's dealt back to him. So these are hitting on 2+. Ooh, this is good. A few fell off. So not good for the Thousand Suns, but good for the Cadian. It is a Strength 16 attack versus Toughness 12. Absolutely insane. And Magnus is not the strongest of the Primarchs. I believe I mentioned that earlier, but again, might have been cut off. So I think Mortarion and Angron might be a little bit stronger, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll have a bout of them versus each other or something in the future. So it is going to be wounding on 3s, which is crazy against a tank. So 3 have gone through. It is a -3 to AP, which brings the Rogel Dorn up to a 5+ save. So we need 5s here. It saved 1, which is fantastic. And it is 3 damage per, so that is 3/6. So much, much better than what could have been. I'm just going to do the marker for that to make sure that the wounds have been tracked. Then I'm going to come back and show the counterattack by the Rogel Dorn. I guess running over Magnus the Red's toe with its track. Alright, so this is the Rogel Dorn with its counterattack. It is still in the fight. It has a full 12 wounds remaining against Magnus's 3. So this is 6 attacks hitting on 4+. And none hit. Wow. So that's a stalemate there. Magnus definitely did some damage to the Rogel Dorn. Cut off a big chunk of it, but the Rogel Dorn could not fight back. So that is going to be moving back now over to my Cadian that has been broken up. and we're going to see if we can kill a Demon Primarch, or at least send him back through the warp. So it's back over to the Cadian here for their move, show you guys what they do, and then we'll take it from there. So with deleted videos or not, this battle rolls on. We are moving into turn 4, and maybe it was kind of a saving grace that it was deleted, because this may be way too long if it kept going. So the Cadian have done their movement. The Rogaldorn, whether it moved out or not, Magnus would be able to jump on it next turn, so it's going to put every single weapon system it has onto him during this shoot phase, hopefully just send him right back to the warp. If they can't do it with the Rogaldorn, we have our Hellhound here. We have 2 full sections of Cadian. We have the heavy weapon squad with Ursula Creed. We have the Battle Sisters as well as the Librarian staff. If I really have to, I have my Bombast field guns, but I'm hoping I can use them maybe for some of the other Thousand Sun groups on the board. The Hellhound here has pulled out, and it's got its aim on the Chaos Prince. And then this entire section here is also going to be firing on the Chaos Prince as well. And the Cadian that were remaining have taken refuge in behind the Space Marines. The Space Marines said, you know, get behind us, humans. And they said, oh, thank you, Lord. And they're now back there, hopefully going to be saved. The other Rogaldorn here I can also use if needed to fire. Actually, it probably has the range to hit Magnus if I need to, but I would rather use it on the Demon Prince as well, or some of the other stronger units, the Flamers, Rubric Marines, so on and so forth. So let's get to the shoot here. I'm going to roll all of it off camera, come back, show you guys what's happened, and maybe Magnus will be gone. We'll have to see. So hold on, and I'll be right back. That concludes turn 4 for the Imperium. Incredible round by the Space Marines and Cadian. As you can see, the Demon Prince is no longer, so the Hellhound here was able to fire very well against it and soften it up, and then it was taken out by the Rogaldorn double impact. The Space Marines here were able to fire in and take out the Flamers, and then Marneus Caligar finished off the final Flamer. So that's what happened over on that side. And over here, the Rogaldorn Battle Tank Fury was able to send Magnus the Red back to the warp. So it put all of its firepower onto him first, so that fired the Oppressor Cannon and the Auto Cannon, and that was actually enough to finish him off. So I was able to use the remainder of my weaponry against the Scarab. I keep wanting to call them Scarab Occult Terminators. They're not. The Rubric Marines, the Thousand Sun Marines, and it was able to do some damage there too. So it's moving back over to the Thousand Suns. Their main command units are all dead, except for the Exalted Sorcerer, who has now taken over leadership and will be doing most of the Cabal magic. Their Cabal point pool, however, has been diminished greatly with the death of Magnus, of Oriman. So we're going to see how they do, and just with their slow trudging movement, I think now the Cadian, who are starting a defensive battle, can actually really push forward, get into range with all of their weaponry, and hopefully get some great rolls to take out the remaining Thousand Suns. There's still, I think, enough battle left, because these Occult Terminators have been super hard to kill so far. I actually put all of my heavy weapons that are over here, as well as the 2 sections of Cadian that were all in range, and my Hellhound tank onto them, and it did nothing. So they're going to be a very tough unit to kill, and this battle, of course, is whichever side kills the other wins. So this could keep going for quite a while. I'm going to move back over here to the Thousand Suns, do their move, come back and show you guys what has happened. It's probably going to be a very quick move because they don't move very far. And I don't think anyone's in range of hand-to-hand except maybe the Tsangors if they want to try to take on the Rogaldorn, which is actually probably not a bad idea because it's going to shred them apart next turn if they don't. So I'll do some strategy here for the Tzeentchian Thousand Suns and come back and show you guys their move. So the Thousand Sun Marines continue to clamber on here. They've moved up their maximum 5 inches. The Exalted Sorcerer 6 inches. He is going to be using the Cabal Doombolt, which I'm going to be doing. It's any enemy unit within 18 inches during the shooting phase. So I'm going to move to the shooting phase here in just a sec. It's going to be against this Hellhound tank. I'm going to be rolling in the tray. So this is the Doombolt. They have 7 Cabal points currently with the loss of their other models that had them. So this is a roll of D6. On a 1, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. On a 2 to 5, D3 plus 3, and then on a 6, D3 plus 6. So we are hoping for a 1 here. Here we go. 4, so that's what I rolled last time as well. So 2 to 5, that enemy suffers D3 plus 3. So we're hoping for a low roll here again. It is a 1, which is great. So that's going to be 4 wounds delivered to the Hellhound. It is still fighting, and that is really good because it could have done a lot more damage. So 4 wounds to the Hellhound, and I'm moving back over to the shoot phase. Going to roll in the tray and show you guys what the Thousand Suns have been able to do during their shoot phase turn. Well, that is the end of the shoot phase, and I have learned that these Thousand Suns are still packing a lot of punch. They did very, very well. So this one section here was able to reduce a Victrix Honor Guard to 2 wounds. The hand-to-hand combat on this side is still to happen, but what was absolutely devastating was the occult Scarab Occult Terminators with the remaining weapons of the Exalted Sorcerer firing into my trenches. So those 2 units alone were able to kill my heavy weapon squad, kill Ursula Creed, and also reduce 2 section by 2 men and Sergeant Voof's section by 2 men. So a lot of the Thousand Suns are still out of range because they have flamer weapons, but as they start to drudge closer, if I can't finish these guys off, it's going to be not a good scenario. And these Terminators have been very, very difficult to kill or even wound because all of them are still there. I think 1 is down to 1 wound, but the remainder are all fresh and good to go. But huge losses here. So my heavy weapons team that actually has high enough firepower to be able to wound the Terminators or kill them have been taken out. And that was mainly the missile rack here on the back of this one. And then everything else was in range. The Soul Reaper autocannon or Gatling cannon on the arm there dished out a ton of wounds, and they're very lightly armored, my Cadians, so they were taken out. There's still a pretty good force over here, but I'm not going to be able to move them because I don't have an APC anymore. My Chimera was destroyed by Magnus the Red. So we're just going to keep going along here. It's over to the hand-to-hand combat. I'm going to roll that in the dice tray, show you guys what happens. The Brimstone Horrors have also lasted all the way up until this turn. So they started as pink, they went to blue, they became Brimstone. They may survive this one too, we'll have to see what happens. And then the Tsangors are in hand-to-hand combat with the Rogel Dorn, and I'm hoping that they won't be able to damage it too much because there's going to be some Marines closing in pretty soon to be able to get some firepower on that. So the battle is far from being over, and you know, since that video did get deleted, maybe it's going to save a bunch of time, and I'm really hoping that I didn't miss anything there during that recap. But the battle continues, and we will see what the hand-to-hand combat phase for the Thousand Suns does. That concludes turn 4. The Brimstone Horrors attacked. The Space Marines counterattacked. Nothing was done to the Space Marines, and the Space Marines killed the remaining Brimstone Horrors, so they are gone. But they lasted 4 turns, from being pink horrors to blue horrors to pink horrors, or to Brimstone Horrors. So pretty crazy. Also down here, the Tsangors tried to penetrate the Rogel Dorn's hull with their swords. Nothing was done to the Rogel Dorn. The Rogel Dorn rolled over one of them with its tank treads. The other 4 jumped out of the way, but one Tsangor was killed. So it's going back over to the Cadian and Space Marine here. After that devastating loss of my heavy weapons team and Ursula Creed, I am going to get as much firepower onto these Occult Terminators as I can to wipe them out of the game. And I'm going to be moving in here to kind of pincer this group in the center and just bombard them with as much firepower as I possibly can. So I'm going to do the move for the Cadian, come right back, show you guys that, and then we're going to move to shoot. Don't think there's going to be any hand-to-hand, but definitely move and shoot. Move phase is done for the Cadian for turn 5. Pulled my Rogel Dorn out from behind its sandbags. I want to get these melta-guns that are on the hull to be able to be in range to actually do some damage. I'm feeling this is going to be a good round for the Cadian. I don't know if it's going to be the end of the battle, but if I can get some great rolls here, we can maybe start to really dwindle these Thousand Suns. My Hellhound also popped out, so they're on either side here going to be firing at the Occult Terminators. My trench line as well moved in from the corners to try to get to the center to be that defensive line again after the heavy weapon squad was lost and Ursula Creed. The Cadian section here came out from behind their protection. They're still within 6 inches, so they are receiving orders from the command squad, which is currently first rank fire, second rank fire. They can't shoot right now because they'd be shooting in the back of Marneus Calgar and some more Cadian and the intercessors, but it's going to help out in the future, hopefully. Over here, the intercessors jumped over their wall to be face to face with the Tsangors. They're going to put some bolt rounds on them. And then my other Rogaldorn also pulled out of cover, and it's got a lot of different units in range. Some pretty good weapons there too, with some good toughness, strength, sorry. So I'm hoping it's going to cut through that toughness of the Thousand Suns. So it's going to move to the shoot phase now. I'm going to do all that off camera, come back, show you guys as per usual what has happened. And I'm hoping when I come back that there's going to be a hell of a lot less Thousand Suns and that I don't delete the video. All right, be back in a sec. That sums up the Cadian turn 5. The shoot is done. I had a good feeling about it and it went very well, I think. So this is what's left over on this side of the field for the Thousand Suns. We have 5 Scarab, I keep on calling them Scarab, Rubric Marines. And it was Marneus that actually fired in. So Marneus Calgar fired in, killed one of them, and wounded another with 3 wounds. My Ordnance Field Battery dropped a bunch of rounds from the Bombast Field Guns onto the Exalted Sorcerer, and he is down to 1 wound. I was really hoping that they were going to kill him, but they didn't. And then the 2 Hellhounds here fired into the Scarab Occult Terminators that were beside the Exalted Sorcerer and actually killed them, which is amazing because I was very worried that those models were just going to stay in here. The Rogaldorn fired all of its firepower into these Rubric Marines, and there's just the Sorcerer left. So I kept the Sorcerer there because it is going to give the Thousand Suns Cabal points for their turn coming up here, and that's going to be, of course, used through the Exalted Sorcerer, who's their last commanding model. They're moving very slow, though, now with that 5-inch move, and I think there's going to be enough firepower here possibly to finish off next turn, but that's going to have to be because of good rolls. So good rolls are still necessary. It is going back to the Thousand Suns right now, so we're going to see what happens. And
you'll need to unlock your iPad first.
Siri turned on there for a sec. I don't know what's going on. Technology issues today. Yeah, she's up again. I don't know.
You'll need to unlock your iPad first.
Anyways, we're going to get over here to the Thousand Suns, and then we are going to see how their move goes, come right back, show you that, and then we'll move on to shoot in any hand-to-hand combat. All right, so that is the end of the Thousand Suns movement phase for turn 5. The Exalted Sorcerer has joined up with the Thousand Suns Rubric Marine unit and is going to be able to buff them out with Arcane Shield. So that is a 4+ invulnerable save to that unit for as long as he is leading it, which is going to keep them in this battle a little bit longer. And then also I can roll a 1 in the next turn if anyone has been lost, and that would actually suffer this unit. But if it's a 2 to 5, I can return 1 destroyed bodyguard model to the unit, and then on a 6 I can return up to 2 bodyguard models. So that's going to be pretty crazy. As the game is coming closer and closer to an end, it might keep those Thousand Suns in there. I also have 6 Cabal points here, so he's going to be using Weaver of Fates, which is going to allow once during that phase, when a saving throw is failed for a friendly Thousand Suns model whose unit is within 18 inches of the Psyker, you can reroll that saving throw. So that's going to be 2, 4, 6, so I'll be able to do it 3 times. It might be this unit, it might be anyone around him in the back unit, or the other sorcerer that's across the way. So this guy's giving them a lot of staying power, and he does move 6 inches, so he kind of broke away there at the start of the game, but he's back in and he's leading this unit, so we're going to see what happens. Over to the shoot phase for the Thousand Suns, and I'm going to roll that off camera and show you guys what happens. Over here, the last 5 models of this section are face to face with the Space Marines, and they're probably going to be doing some damage to them with their flamers and the Reaper cannon there, the Gatling cannon. So we're going to see how that goes. Gonna roll off, be right back, and show you guys what happens. It's going a lot faster now because there's less and less enemy models, actually less and less allied models too. So really hoping the Cadian can pull this off. We'll see. It might be another few turns. Here we go. So that is the end of the shooting phase for the Thousand Suns in turn 5. Very good round by them as well. So the Rubric Marines here fired into the intercessors and were able to kill 4 of them and bring the sergeant down to 1 wound, or sorry, 3 of them. 1 was already dead, down to 1 wound. So there's a very bare bones force there that's, I think, going to be able to repel them, but we'll see. Over here, the saddest was that this section of Rubric Marines here fired into the trench system and killed Sergeant Dakota. So Sergeant Dakota has been a survivor throughout the entire crusade. Not one battle scar throughout. I've usually had them linked up with the Primaris Psyker, so maybe that's why the luck shifted. But a bunch of the Infernal Bolt rifles went in and were able to kill his entire section. So he is finished. Over here, the rest of the Rubric Marines would be shooting their buddies in the backs. They were not able to fire, and then this lone sorcerer fired its flame, Infernal Flame pistol into the Rogel Dorn, and nothing happened. It didn't have a high enough strength to be able to penetrate. So it is going back over here for the Cadian. Tons of tanks still able to shoot, so that's what we're going to be doing now, and hopefully going to be taking out the remaining Thousand Suns during this turn. But it's very possible, after I buffed out that center unit with the Exalted Sorcerer, that they are going to be around for a little bit. So let's get some great rolls here, see how it goes. I'll be right back and show you guys how many Thousand Suns have been killed during turn 6 for the Cadian. Just a very quick movement recap here by the Cadian. So the remaining Rubric Marines are surrounded by 4 tanks, all with great firepower. So I'm hoping with all of that, getting enough rolls to finish these guys off. We will see. Down here, the Commissar moved up to fill the hole for where Sergeant Dakota was. The 2 Battle Sisters who have been here trying to defend this planet, all that remains from that original defense force, have moved up to take the place of Ursula Creed and the heavy weapons team. We have Sergeant Voof's section still in the trenches with the Ministorum Priest. Command squad has not moved, neither has the section in front of them. They still have the orders going. My Bombast field cannons are still at the back as well. And up here, Marnius Calgar has had enough. He's gone right into hand-to-hand combat with his 2 Victrix Honor Guard and the remaining Intercessor Sergeant to be able to hopefully tear these Thousand Suns apart with those Fists of Ultramar, the Gauntlets of Ultramar. So we're going to see how this goes. Shoot, then hand-to-hand, and we will see what happens. The Imperial Guard tanks do it again. All of my tanks fired into the remaining Rubric Marines and the Exalted Sorcerer and killed them all outright. It took pretty much every single weapon system to do it, but that's what happened. And with the Exalted Sorcerer gone, there's no more ability to use the Cabal except for my Sorcerer over here. So there's only these 5 Scarab, or fuck, always saying Scarab, the Rubric Marines, Thousand Suns. There's only 5 of them remaining, and they are in hand-to-hand combat with the chapter master of the Ultramarines, Marnius Calgar. This might be the end of the Thousand Suns here. With the Exalted Sorcerer gone, though, there's no way that he can bring anyone back as bodyguards because they were finished off by the Melta Cannon actually on my second Hellhound, the Hellhound Imp. So these Rogel Dorns throughout the entire Crusade, you guys have seen they came in pretty early, have been absolutely phenomenal. So if you are looking at collecting Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum, and have the points, definitely put at least 1 Rogel Dorn in here. Their weapon systems are phenomenal. The loadout of the Multi-Meltas is great, with maybe mine are a little different, but have a little bit of anti-infantry, like the heavy stubber, maybe some heavy bolters, but I don't know. I've made a really good mix here in both of these tanks. One is a little bit better for armor punching, and the other one's a little bit better for infantry. So together, mixed in with the Hellhounds, has been just an amazing concoction for killing all of the enemies that I've faced so far, except that damn Chaos Undivided. So I'm going to be rolling this one in the tray. It comes down to this. We're going to see if these Thousand Suns can survive. I know this is a Cadian Crusade, but it's pretty cool when you have Adeptus Astartes come on to the table, and especially when you have a chapter master here with his superhuman bodyguards and one of his superhuman intercessors. They've all been through the rubric Primaris, so they're almost the strength of Primarchs. So I'm hoping that they can just dismantle these Thousand Suns, but we will see. I'm going to roll right now on the tray, get everything set up, show you guys that. And then I'll just do a rundown here of what has happened during that. And if it is the end of the battle, kind of a rundown of what's occurred, and cover a few of the cards and stuff just to show you guys who has the most kills and whatnot. So here we go, moving into hand-to-hand combat for turn 6 of the Imperium. Let's do it. Okay, over to the dice tray. This may be the last turn of the entire Cadian Crusade. Weird, but it is maybe ending with the Ultramarines. This is the Gauntlets of Ultramar from Marneus Caligar. It is 6 attacks, hitting on 2+. One fell off. So it is strength 8 versus toughness 4, wounding on 2s. And I can re-roll these because they're twin linked. Didn't need to. All of them are through. An absolutely fantastic roll. And it is -3 to AP, which brings our Thousand Suns up to a 5+ invulnerable. And 2 were saved. However, it's 3 damage per, so that is 3, 6, 9. So we have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have killed the Thousand Suns, or I should say Marneus Caligar has killed the Thousand Suns by himself. So they have been sent back into the warp. And this is a victory for my Cadian. They just need a little bit of help from their friends. Marneus Caligar has wiped out the board, but that is, of course, after the Cadian have done a hell of a lot of heavy lifting themselves. So I'm just going to sum up everything here in a sec, show you guys some of the casualties from this fight, and just let you guys know how the Crusade went overall. And I'm probably going to read the last unit kills for each Crusade card, for each unit from start to finish, and just a little bit of background and history on the campaign and what I hope to do in the future with my Astra Militarum. Okay, so here are the remaining forces at the end of that fight. My Cadian goes 6-1 for their entire crusade. It lasted 7 full battles. You guys can check all of those out on my previous YouTube videos on the playlist for the Cadian Crusade. So we have the command squad. Didn't really do much, nor did this section, but they were there in case it was necessary. The Primaris Psyker has survived the entire crusade. She was never killed, never received a battle scar, and has survived this final one. Very lucky model. I also love what she does to be able to buff out units against psychic attacks and give them invulnerable saves against psychic attacks. So I think I'll probably include her in future crusades. In here we did have Sergeant Voof, who didn't have the easiest crusade campaign. He was killed multiple times in his section, received lots of battle scars, but this time they made it through. My Commissar also was pretty beat up throughout the entire crusade, but survived this one. These Rogel Dorn tanks, as I said to you guys just a second ago, absolutely phenomenal weapon platforms. I would at least take one if you guys are planning on doing any kind of Imperial Guard Astra Militarum force. And from the very beginning of the crusade, as well as my last crusade that I never got filmed, the Hellhound tanks are incredible little tanks as well. Very low point value, great weapon systems. They have 2 different weapon platforms on them. I have mine with Melta cannons, but you can do heavy flamer, you can do chem cannon, you can do a bunch of stuff on them. But I love the Melta cannon. And then this one has the heavy flamer, so good against infantry, just a bit of a less range, so maybe heavy bolter on there. But the heavy bolter on this one, on the Hellhound Imp, has done great. And then, of course, on a Rogel Dorn, you can have 2 heavy bolters, 2 Meltas, 2 fucking anything if you want. It's crazy. So this one here alone, just to count here, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different weapon systems on it. And then mine over here has, this is 1, but it's 2 shots. It's twin linked, so that's helpful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 with the pulverizer cannon underneath. So you can do some crazy loadouts with that. in my next Crusade campaign, and I'm kind of looking at getting stuff together pretty soon for that, I may be putting Leman Russ battle tanks in. They're a little bit more expensive than Hellhounds, but have a pretty good weapon system too. They don't have as much staying power as a Rogel Dorn, but because of the less points, I might be able to bring in a couple more. I actually just picked one up today. I'm also, as you guys saw, there's my tome actually. I didn't put it in because it's still drying, but this is what the Thousand Sons are trying to get in the structure. So I might incorporate that in a future Crusade. And also, since half this battle was deleted possibly, I want to make sure that I might be do Thousand Sons in the future. But yeah, I have like Lord Marshal Dryer here, as well as the Death Riders. Don't think I'd take in a full 10 of them, but we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to bring this over here. Actually, it is a gorgeous piece of model, so I'm very excited to get this in for my next Crusade. It is the Deathcore of Krieg artillery pieces. Don't know if I'm going to get another one of these or not, but if I have this in there with my field ordnance battery, maybe heavy weapons team, I think it's going to be great for distance attacks, but I will see when I start to make my next Crusade force up. The other thing with the new Imperial Guard Astra Militarum Codex is that the different factions of Imperial Guard are very separated now. So you have Lord Solar Leontis, who can give orders to pretty much any unit. So that's Cadian, Cadian, Deathcore of Krieg, like Armageddon, Steel Legion, anyone you want. But if you have like Ursula Creed or you have a Cadian Castellan, they can only give orders to Cadian models. And then Lord Marshal Dryer can only give orders to Deathcore of Krieg models. So I'm not sure if I start mixing stuff up and they have to cross the board, they're not going to be able to give each other commands. And it makes sense. They might not even speak the same language because they're from different planets in, you know, whatever the human race is looking like in the year 40,000. So it's very possible that, you know, you have a Deathcore of Krieg like making squeak noises through his gas mask, and Acadian's not going to understand what the hell is going on. So they can't really communicate or do orders. There are a few models that are good across the board because of their training. So one of them is a Commissar. I might actually start my Crusade and have a Commissar as my warlord just to see how that plays out. Or I might bring in Ursula Creed again. She didn't do great in this battle, but she's only been in for a little bit. And she's a cheaper model, can give 2 orders specifically to Cadian, but we'll see what happens. And this was the casualties from this fight. So we had the heavy weapons team go down. We had Ursula Creed go down. We had all of my Kazarkin go down. The Chimera was cut in half by Magnus the Red. Leontis was lost. The Sentinel was lost. And then almost 2 full sections of Cadian. So actually not too bad considering. The Thousand Sons, as I said, too, very, very slow army. If they were in transports, I don't have any transports for them because I only have pretty much the models that you guys saw on the table today. But if they were in transports, I think they would be a much more potent force. This is them here, and then the Demons I've already put back into their box. But they were a very good army, and that Cabal thing, I've never played Thousand Sons before, so that's why I was kind of messing up names and trying to figure out a few of their abilities, but a very, very cool, different thing. None of the other Chaos forces really have that, and if you have tons of sorcerers on the board, Magnus the Red, like, this was a 2,500 point army, so still not crazy. It's not like, you know, a massive apocalypse force, and they did pretty well against a very veteran force of Cadian that had a whole bunch of buffs and things. Like, there was battle scars, but they also have a lot of buffs from battle traits and whatnot. So I'm going to flip over to the cards now. I'm probably just going to do the audio for that and then put some slides up for you guys of pictures from the battle, and just tally up the entire total of what each unit did, from the Castellan, who was my warlord originally, all the way down to my most recent additions to the force. So I'll be back in just a sec for that. Okay, so not going to show all of the cards like I usually do on here. You guys have a pretty good idea. There was units last time that would have moved up to the next level during this fight, but I just wanted to cover the enemy units destroyed by each Crusade card unit. So I'm starting from the very beginning of the Crusade. Castellan Cage was my first warlord of my force. Great model. He played all of the Crusade. However, only had 2 enemy units destroyed throughout. I kind of have to blame that on putting him with my field ordnance batteries at the end to buff them out, but he had 2 unit kills for the entire Crusade. The Commissar, who was also there from the start, only had 1 unit kill throughout the entire Crusade. The Cadian Command Squad had 3 unit kills. The Regimental Preacher, which turned into Ministorum Preacher, so another like total unit change here as well, but same point value, different weapon systems, whatever, had 1 unit kill. The Khazarkan Sharkar's Own had 5 unit kills throughout the entire Crusade. Khazarkan Tigers had 6 kills, and they actually picked up 2 in this past battle, so they went from 4 to 6, which was pretty damn good. One section, led by Sergeant Saronk, had 2 kills. 2 section, led by Sergeant Dakota, had 3 kills, and they finally got wiped out there during that last fight. I was really hoping they were going to make it through the entire Crusade, but they were the only one that didn't have a battle scar. If I kept this going and there was a battle 8, they would have received one, but they did really, really well. They were a hell of a unit for just a 10 section of Cadian infantry. Very, very good. So 3 units killed throughout the campaign. Sergeant Apone in 3 section had 2 kills. Sergeant Voof of 4 section had 3 kills. The Heavy Weapon Squad, which used to be Sentinel Alpha, no units destroyed throughout the entire campaign. So that was the Sentinel as well as the Heavy Weapon Squad. If I could do this over again, I would have brought the Heavy Weapon Squad in right away, saved myself the Sentinel slot, put these guys inside the Chimera with some kind of command squad or something to buff them out, and had them probably doing a lot more kills from the start, because as the battles went on, it was harder enemies. Whereas if these guys had been in there against like the Gene Stealer cultists or the Tyrannid at the start, I think they would have got a lot more kills. Sentinel Bravo, which had the rocket launcher throughout the entire Crusade, had 1 kill. I don't think 10th edition is good for Sentinels. Maybe take 1 in. I didn't really use them too much in hand-to-hand combat because they might be a bit better there. They have a higher toughness, but in regards to weapon systems, like you get 1. It's not the cheapest model. I think it's 70 points compared to the Heavy Weapon Squad, which is like 50. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd bring Sentinels in. And if you're building yourself an Astra Militarum or Imperial Guard army for a crusade that you're playing at home or taking it to a tournament, I don't know if I'd include them. I'd take something else, maybe another section of Cadian or something with special weapons. Hellhound Cerberus, absolutely awesome tank in there from the very beginning of the Crusade. 4 enemy units destroyed throughout the Crusade. Hellhound Imp, also in there since the beginning. That was the Hellhound with the heavy bolter. It got its final unit killed during this fight, so it went from 5 units destroyed to 6, and it was marked for greatness once. Ursula Creed, who came in and replaced the Ogryn, she takes their enemy units destroyed, so that was a mix between the Ogryn and her. It is 2 enemy units destroyed in total. The Primaris Psyker has 2 as well, so she got her second during this past fight, and she is one of the only, maybe the only unit that did not receive a battle scar throughout the whole Crusade. I said also very good model. I would probably include her again. Lesser point cost, and I believe she works with more than just Cadian, so another reason to bring her in if you have multiple different kind of mixes of Imperial Guard Astra Militarum units. But yeah, she had 2 kills throughout the Crusade. Rogel Dorn Battle Tank Fury, definitely marked for greatness once. It had 13 unit kills throughout the Crusade, so this thing and the Rogel Dorn Battle Tank Double Impact did all of the heavy lifting. They survived almost all of the fights. I think they were both destroyed once, but I used requisition points to remove their destruction once or twice as well. For this battle here too, I would give my Mark for Greatness again to Double Impact. It had 15 unit kills throughout the entire campaign, and it had 3 during this battle alone. So Rogaldorn Battle Tank Fury received 1 Mark for Greatness, and Rogaldorn Battle Tank Double Impact with this one has received 3 Marked for Greatnesses, which would bring it into the next level. And I'm definitely going to be bringing one of these 2 back in as I move forward with future Crusades. Don't know if I'll bring them in off the start, we'll have to see. But yeah, 15 unit kills throughout for Double Impact, so just phenomenal. Lord Solar Leontis came in really hot, kind of fizzled out, but he is someone that can give commands to every single Imperial Guard Astra Militarum unit, so I think I would maybe bring him in very early in my next Crusade. He's 125 points though, so with a 1,000 point start, it takes, 12% of your entire force. So I'll have to see, but he did do very well. He buffed out a ton of units, so even though he only had 2 unit kills throughout the whole Crusade, he was maxing out those Khazarkin to be able to get all the kills that they did, and he also was the only one, really, other than the Ogryn, that could fight in hand-to-hand combat, and he took down some pretty big enemies and weakened some others to soften them up for other kills, so definitely did great. He had 2 units destroyed throughout the Crusade. My Chimera, which was a workhorse, 1 unit kill. I was not expecting that. It is an APC. It's got the multi-laser, which is an okay weapon, lots of multiple fire, but it was also able to kill a unit. So transportation, I think, in the future as well. It's a 70 point cost for the Chimera. I might bring one in very early, that or a Torox, to make sure that I can move units around the field very quickly, move heavy weapon squads if I have to. If someone needs specific buffing, like if they've lost a character, get the Primaris Psyker from one side to the other, stuff like that, mattering on who you're facing. Next up is the Khazarkin Gargoyles. They actually had a really good fight this time, but they were killed because the Khazarkin were kind of holding that front line. They went from 3 units destroyed to 4 during this battle, and they came on pretty hot there at the end. To have 3 Khazarkin units too, like, I might use points to get them in at the start, to have 3 right off the bat, as opposed to just Cadian shock troops, but we'll have to see, because those 4 sections of shock troops is your basic platoon structure, and they did some heavy lifting throughout the campaign too, just in regards to filling up holes, holding up enemies, softening stuff as well. So anyways, Khazarkin Gargoyles, 4 unit kills throughout the Crusade, and they also did not come in right off the bat. They were in there later on, so very good job. The Ordnance Field Battery, getting these guys in with the Castellan sooner would have had them have a lot more unit kills to buff them out, to just make sure they were doing better hits. They had 1 unit destroyed throughout the entirety of their time in the Crusade, and I'm looking at putting in that Death Corps of Krieg artillery piece as well, maybe with these as a back line to just completely bombard whatever enemy I'm fighting and keep some distance. So we'll see how that goes, and just while I'm planning my next Crusade and what units I'll have available to me with the points. So that is it. That is the rundown of what at the end was a 2,080 point Cadian and mixed Astra Militarum army. Tons of fun. I've always been an Imperial Guard player. I love them. It's, as I've said before, like you and me in the future, the year 40,000, fighting with light armor on, a multi-produced las gun that's like a little pop shooter compared to some of the power armor that it's against, but they always do it somehow. It's very, very cool how Games Workshop has built them up and just given them the stats. I'm very excited to get that next Crusade going, and yeah, we'll catch you guys soon. Finnigan 40K. Check out Last Stand series, check out the rest of the battles before this one, and hopefully going to get a lot more stuff to you guys in the future. So take care, and we'll see you soon. And I just want to thank you guys again so much for watching the entire Crusade. I'm already starting to think about the next one. It might be in a little while, like maybe spring or summer, but I want to try to get my Astra Militarum out on the board again and see how they do. Between now and then, though, I'm still going to be doing my Last Stand series, so I still have tons and tons of models. If you guys want to check that out, go to my other playlist, which is Finnigan 40K Last Stand series, and that takes 3 units with a character model against a set amount of Tyrannid. It's been very, very cool to do, and you can kind of see the different point values and who does the best kills and stuff. Also, luck comes into it with the rolls, but it's been very, very cool. And then I also have another one that I want to do. Not going to give too much information about that today, but similar to Kill Team, but not really. And it's going to be kind of like a bracketed Royal Rumble kind of Mortal Kombat feel. So let you guys know what that looks like in the future. Going to finish off my Last Stand series though before that, then move into that if it makes sense, and then back to some kind of crusade. I'm excited to use the new Imperial Guard Astra Militarum Codex to see all these different abilities that have come in. It came in a little too late during this crusade, but they have commendations, they have different traits, different relics. So I'm excited to build that in. And I'm hoping for a little while the point values are going to stay the same, because as I said at the beginning of this one, I started this crusade in October of 2024, a few months ago, and the point values have changed 3 times already, which is, it's crazy. Like, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Sorry about my bitching there, but it's the way I feel with some of the stuff there in regards to the just the business structure. But yeah, Finnigan 40K, keep checking this stuff out. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and we'll be back soon with my Last Stand series. Bye bye for now.